This is the Ask Faleskini podcast, where the modern economy is discussed from a skeptic's perspective. Mr. Faleskini helps you distinguish what is sustainable in our economy and what isn't. Not everything that glitters is gold, and not all mud is dirty. The podcaster Mr. Faleskini provides no-nonsense advice. He had it all, lost it all, went bankrupt multiple times, and is now attempting to come back from zero with sustainable growth. There are numerous coaches and preachers on the internet that preach about positive thinking and how life is all roses if you just care to see it that way. Well, Mr. Faleskini is definitely not one of them. We recommend you ask Faleskini to keep it real. He discusses the darker side of the current economic reality, the side that's more important for your personal and business finance. His first intention is to help you keep what you already have. Not to be a complete party pooper, Mr. Faleskini will also hint at the earning opportunities in the economy today. In order to please the almighty algorithm, please like, share, and subscribe. And now it's time to start taking notes. The mic goes to the podcaster, the one and only Mr. Faleskini.
Welcome to the Ask Faleskini podcast with a guest. I'm proud to present Giulia Smith from London, UK. Giulia is a six-figure business and marketing coach. She's also co-founder of Blackbird Digital. Blackbird Digital generates meetings for coaches and consultants. Giulia, please tell us more about yourself. What is your story?
Hi, thank you so much for having me on your podcast. Thank you for the introduction. I'm Giulia. I've been in the marketing world for almost 10 years now. I originally used to work for Unilever in their global digital marketing department and then left to freelance as a digital marketer. And what I found was that very quickly, lots of people needed digital marketing, and that working as a freelancer, I wouldn't be able to work with too many clients. So I transitioned to starting an agency back in 2017, which is Blackbird Digital that you mentioned at the beginning. And originally we kind of worked doing any kind of digital marketing. We did anything and everything to do with digital marketing. And over time, what we realized is there was a trend towards people wanting lead generation and specifically meetings. We found that whether someone was a brand new entrepreneur, a six-figure, seven-figure, or even, multi-billion-pound company, they always wanted more clients and more meetings, and people struggled to get that consistently. So what we decided to do was to niche down and specialize in just focusing on offering meeting generation as a service to our clients, which is what we do now. And then 3 years ago, what I found was that a lot of people that were coming to us couldn't afford to fully outsource their services to us as an agency. So I decided to become a coach as well and coach smaller businesses on how they can grow their business by mastering marketing lead generation as well, so that they could still grow without having to invest in outsourcing to an agency.
Thank you. Very impressive. I'd like to ask you more about your digital programs that you offer on your webpage. Can you tell us more about your programs? How does it work? And what clients get from them?
Yes. So the kind of main program that I have at the moment is something called Meetings on Autopilot Academy. And what I essentially teach people inside of there is how to build what I call a sales call funnel or a call booking funnel. And it's essentially a funnel that takes a cold prospect into a hot prospect that's booked a call into your calendar. And they do that through low-cost Facebook and Instagram ads. So the reason why I created this offer is because I found that people were relying on lots of different methods like cold email, posting on social media, going into Facebook groups, messaging people on LinkedIn to try and get clients. And the kind of common theme with those strategies is that they're really time consuming for the individual to do. And they're also inconsistent. You can't say for every 2 LinkedIn messages I send, I'll get a reply or I'll get a client. It's just not that predictable or trackable. So what I did was, through the kind of years of offering different services to clients, is create the call booking funnel process, which allows people to essentially have to build their own sales funnel and then switch their advertising on, and allow themselves to get anything from kind of 1 call a day. You can have up to 50, 60 calls a day if you want to, depending on how big your organization is and how much budget you've got, but also how much capacity you've got as a business as well to grow. And so that's kind of the core thing that I teach at the moment through my coaching business, is how to build a sales call funnel, and people are absolutely loving it.
Yeah, I imagine that. I would like to ask you, how did you decide to specialize and focus your services? I found it that one of the hardest thing to do for every consultant or coach is to specialize, because we know so much things and we would like to offer everything. And then how did you manage to specialize and say, okay, we are not doing everything anymore. We are leaving some clients behind and we're specializing. What was the trigger to do that? I know that in theory you have to focus, but how did you manage to overcome all the fears and all the obstacles when you're focusing?
So it took me quite a while to niche down into just this offer, because I kind of had that same mindset that you were mentioning of I could help people with everything and anything. I could help anyone and everyone. But what I found was the more broad I was, the more difficult it was to actually get clients now. I think 4 or 5 years ago, you could afford to be broad as a consultant or as an agency. But I think now people are looking for specialists in one area. And in the same way that, a brain surgeon gets paid more than a GP, the more you can hone down what you do as a consultant, the more likely you'll be sought after, you'll have more word of mouth, and you'll have more growth and recognition, and you'll be known for, Giulia does this, right? And so the reason why I specialized in this is because I found that a lot of the stuff that I was teaching and consulting on, lots of other people were teaching and consulting on. And so I felt like I was getting lost in a sea of other people that were teaching the same thing. And then I thought, okay, and to give you an example of what that was, I do a lot of my marketing on Instagram. And I found that one of the things that I teach is how to grow on Instagram, how to get clients on Instagram, how to post organic content on Instagram. But then 99% of my peers were talking about that as well. So then when I looked at what they were doing, I realized, okay, well, they were only teaching how to get clients on Instagram because that was the only thing they knew. And I was like, well, I know a lot more than just that. That's just one of the things that I know. So I'm not differentiating myself from everybody else. And I'm not giving anyone a real reason to come to me over them. So what I thought was, okay, what is something that only I know, or not only I know, but that I know extremely well that most other people don't know? And what am I really, really passionate about? And what have I also noticed as a trend in what people want? So I paid attention to my existing clients and their struggles, their feedback, also what was being shared online. And I thought, okay, I'm going to move away from just teaching people how to get clients on Instagram and instead teach people how to get clients through a sales funnel, because I'd heard a lot of feedback from clients of posting content on social media is draining, it's time consuming, it's boring, I don't want to do it, it doesn't work, etc. So I thought I took the feedback and my desire to stand out and be different from everyone else and then specialize just into this one area that I teach now. But I'm also really passionate about teaching as well, which I then think comes across in your marketing and makes it easier to sell to people as well.
Yeah, you make it sound so easy. Even if it's the hardest decision to make as a consultant, to focus and just leave everything behind and say, okay, now I'm, as you said, you're the best in one field and you want to focus on that field. Is there any tip that you can share? How should the consultant or coaches decide how to focus? What would be their expertise? You also have all this knowledge. You understand what the market needs and how the market behaves. When you were talking about that, then you are known as someone who specializes in this. Are there any easy steps to go through this process? Because for me, it was like a 2-year process and I'm still not.
Yeah, definitely. So what I would say is, if you're wanting to specialize or niche down into something, choose something that is one of two things. One is something you fundamentally believe in, that you fully are behind the offer, you believe in it, you know that it works, you like it, you're passionate about it, because you have to keep selling it even when people aren't buying, right? Even when it's not working, even when times are tough or whatever. If you don't have full belief in the offer, you'll stop selling it when people aren't buying. So you need to believe in the offer no matter what and be passionate about it. The second thing I think makes a huge difference is to sell an offer that you are confident you can deliver. Because what I've seen a big trend in is people going to sell offers that I know they can't sell, I know they can't do, but they're selling it because everyone else is selling it, or it's a trending thing that people are wanting. So they've pivoted from what they're good at to sell something they think is kind of trending. And then they're not actually succeeding in selling it because they don't have the confidence to sell it. because they're actually scared to sign clients for that service or offering or package, because they're scared of actually delivering. So what I'd say is, don't pay attention necessarily to what's trending. Pay attention to what you're good at and what you're passionate about, and then then find out how you can promote that in a world to make it trending, if that makes sense. So understanding, okay, how can what I'm good at fit into what the market needs right now? And a way to find out what the market needs is, there's a couple of ways you can do it. One is just spend time on the internet, spend time in forums, blogs, Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, read what people are saying, join groups and read what they're saying. If you've got your own audience on Instagram or Facebook, ask them. If you don't, go and look at your competitors and what people are saying in the comments. Just go and read and spend time consuming data to see, what do people want? What are they talking about? What are they struggling with? The second thing is invite people onto calls. So either like a market research call, or you can, do part market research, part free coaching for them, or consulting and exchange, and just ask them questions. Hey, what are you struggling with right now in X sector, which is a sector that you consult on? And just the more of those calls you can do. I've learned this a lot through sales calls as well, because I've done hundreds of sales calls. I found that, okay, when you do 100 sales calls, you start to see patterns in what people are saying. They all say this, they use the same words, they have the same problems, the same desires. And from there, you can start to build a really clear picture of, okay, what does this audience need from someone like me? And then that's how you can start to make sure that your offer is built for someone that actually needs it. Because another thing I've seen happen with people's offers not selling is they just go, oh, I'm going to sell this today, or I feel like selling this. They don't do any research to see, is it something people want and need? Is it something that people would actually pay for? Because if not, you're putting time and effort into selling something people are never actually going to buy. I see that so often. So it's really, really important. And I think sometimes people's egos can get in the way, especially if you've been in business for a long time, to think, I don't need to do market research. I don't need to check if somebody wants my offer. I know they'll want my offer. And it's like, actually, if you can put your ego to one side and just think, okay, let me just verify that. Let me just speak to 5 to 10 people and see, is this something people would invest in? Are they actually having this struggle? Or have I just made this up without enough research and understanding of my target audience to see if they'd actually want this offer? I hope that helps.
Okay, and now the $1 million question. Before, you mentioned that it's important that you do what you like, and that this also helps you persevere when you don't have clients.
Yeah.
How do you know if you have to persevere or if you have to give up and do something else?
So what I always recommend is, you don't actually, if you're not getting clients, I can usually give feedback on why you're not getting them. It's usually never a case of giving up, and it's usually just a case of altering something in your marketing. So normally it can either be, the first thing I will always look at is your offer. So is your offer something people want and need? If it's not, then obviously we can change the offer. If it is, and the next thing to look at is, what's the messaging? I find this even when I've done marketing for like multi-billion pound brands, their messaging is terrible. People don't spend enough time looking at the language they use to market their offer. So you might have the best offer in the world that once people buy it, they love it. But the language you're using isn't the language of your ideal client, or the language, what I often find, is way too broad. It's too generic. And so people don't understand the value of it, and so they don't buy it. And so that's normally why people aren't buying. Then the next reason after that is the marketing methods you're using, right? So maybe you're posting the wrong type of content on social media, you're sending the wrong type of messages on LinkedIn, you're going into the wrong Facebook groups. Like, if the offer is good, which is the most important thing, then it can be sold. It's just a matter of analyzing each part of your marketing in a sense, and then understanding from there, okay, what needs to be altered. I don't think you ever really need to give up.
Okay, really good one. Now I would like to get more info from you. How important is the formal education? What was the influence that working for a multi-million-dollar company and global company, basically, how much did you profit from that? And how did you manage to decide to go and start being a freelancer from comfort of really, let's say, big company, all these possible opportunities in the future to go make it on your own? How did that happen? Did you have any initiatives from home? Is your family entrepreneurial? How did you move from, let's say, corporate job into being your own boss?
Yeah, so working in my corporate job was incredibly useful. I learned so much. I learned because I was in the digital marketing department, we kind of covered everything to do digital marketing, whether that was social media, advertising, SEO, content, global launches. So I learned a lot. And that's why in the beginning, when I kind of left, I offered everything and anything because I knew so much about digital marketing. I had a real breadth of knowledge from there. And I also learned how to, because I was on the other side then, we were hiring agencies to come in. I was seeing how the agencies were pitching, what they were offering, how they're positioning themselves, how they dealt with objections, how, I learned so much from that experience. And I remember the whole time I was in my corporate job, I thought, I want to be on the agency side. I want to be on this side. This side looks like more fun. And then the reason I left actually was, so none of my grandparents are entrepreneurial. My parents have had corporate jobs most of their lives, but I've always wanted to be an entrepreneur. And what I found was that actually, even though I was working for a huge company, often the bigger the company, the slower it is to roll things out. So I'd find that you'd come forward with an idea, but then it would take 7 months for that idea to turn into reality. And I think I'm just a little bit impatient. And I really wanted to work with slightly smaller organizations where I could put forward an idea, and that same month that idea could come into fruition and we could start to reap the rewards of that idea much sooner. So I just left with no, I wouldn't recommend it, but I left with no prospect, no job, nothing lined up afterwards. I just left because I thought, okay, I've done my years in corporate. Now I want to go and kind of do this on my own. And I actually then used pivot. I didn't know how to get clients at all. I just then started speaking to people on LinkedIn and managed to get my first 5 clients from LinkedIn. And then realized, it's not actually as hard as I thought to get clients by yourself. And then kind of started my journey from there, really. But there was no real plan, which I don't recommend now. I always recommend, starting to build your kind of consultancy business on the side first, and then leaving once you've got at least a couple of stable clients, just so you're not in that kind of panic mode of, I need income and I haven't got any.
Okay, very good. Do you have a lot of coaching clients that are considering coaching, or you just have coaching clients that are already in the business?
Yeah, I tend to just work with people that already are coaches or consultants. I used to work with people that were really new to it, but my area of expertise now is helping them refine their offers, refine their message, refine their marketing, rather than create it from scratch. So yeah, normally, even if that person is a consultant but they're not doing it full time, or they haven't got tens of clients, that's fine, but they kind of already are that consultant.
Do you think that it's that as an agency it's much better to work with someone that is already built up, or that has you said initial clients, or is it better that you start from scratch? Because if you start from scratch, basically you can influence their decision making process much more than if they're already doing something.
Absolutely. I mean, what I find sometimes with consulting people from scratch is that sometimes you have a lot of mindset blocks to help them overcome, because they've fully transitioned into something new. And sometimes that can kind of, because you're not physically doing the work for them as a consultant, as I would be in my agency, it can sometimes take a little bit longer for things to get off the ground. Not always, but sometimes it can do, because there's lots of other things that come up as resistance basically to that growth. Whereas with kind of more established brands, by established, I don't mean someone that's got, a team of 100 consultants. It could be someone that's just kind of, at the 6-figure mark, or kind of creeping into multi-6 figures, but they've kind of started to grow by themselves. They've built some momentum in some capacity, but are now really looking to take that business to the next level. So
you're basically working with the talents. So you just need to make them better.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I have done a lot of work in the past with people that were brand new, and I still do sometimes. I've had a couple of clients. I've got a couple of clients now that are kind of brand new. But for me, I used to work with everyone and anyone. And this is a piece of advice as well to consultants, is I used to work with everyone and anyone just to have the clients. But what I found is, and you might have experienced the same, is I'd rather work with fewer people that had the right mindset for where we want to go than working with everyone and anyone and then having some experiences that perhaps aren't so great because I'm not fully aligned to the person that I'm working with. So now I'm a little bit more choosy in terms of who I work with, because I want to ensure they have the most success, right? So they need to be aligned with me and I need to be aligned with them in order for that to happen.
Great. And now I would like to have some tricks of the trade. Can you share something with our listeners, how they should go about generating leads for their consulting or coaching business? What is the best advice? What are the books, and how will they profit from your courses that you have online?
So, I mean, what I'd recommend for anyone trying to sell their consulting offers or coaching offers is first get really clear on how many you want to sell, like each month. So let's just say you want to sell 5 one-to-one packages a month, for example, and then figure out, okay, in order for that to happen, how many people do I have to speak to? Okay, maybe I have to speak to 10 people. As in, by speak to, I mean a sales call or sales conversation in some capacity. And then work backwards from there to figure out, okay, in order for me to get 10 people on the phone or on email or whatever, what marketing strategies do I have to use? Because what I find is people will say, oh, I want 10 clients. And I say, okay, what are you doing? Oh, I don't know. So, or I even say, how many clients do you want? Oh, I don't know. So I think a lot of people lack a plan or a goal. And so I always say, start with a really specific goal and not just saying I want more clients, but give a number and try to really give a bit of thought behind that number. Because I think sometimes as well, we get a bit caught up in, oh, I want more money just for the sake of more money without asking yourself why. So maybe it's like, I want to go to the Caribbean at Christmas for 2 months. That's going to cost me $10,000. Therefore, I need 10 clients. I'm making all this up just as an example. Okay, there's a clear goal with a clear reason why you want to earn that money. Now, in order for you to do that, you may need to speak to 20 people. Okay, now then it's a matter of understanding, okay, for those 20 people that I want to sign as a consultant, where are they online? Because something I've often seen people do is marketing themselves on platforms where their ideal clients aren't. For example, I've worked with someone before that was a consultant to lawyers, and she was promoting herself on Instagram. And I was like, the lawyers are on LinkedIn, not Instagram. So you're putting all this effort into Instagram when actually they're going to be way more responsive to you on LinkedIn. And when she transitioned to LinkedIn, she got way more traction. So it's important to not think about what social media platform do I like, but instead think about what marketing method do I like, but instead think, where are my ideal clients? How do they respond? You know, is it through email? Is it through Instagram? Is it through ads? Is it through this? Then once you've understood what platform they best respond on, then like actively learning how to market yourself on there. I think too many people think, oh, I can just, do this every single day and I'll get clients. It's actually so much better to just invest in some capacity, a course, a coach, another consultant that can teach you how to market yourself effectively on those platforms. Because I think people give up because they haven't had any kind of guidance or training on how to grow on those platforms or, how to get clients. If they did, they wouldn't give up because they'd know exactly how to get clients, right? So then once you've figured out the platform, go and invest in something if you don't already have the knowledge of how to get clients on that platform. And the key is be consistent and be repetitive. That the growth in the clients come from showing up every day and doing those tasks. It's not, oh, I'll do it once or twice and give up and then I should get all the clients. It's about being consistent and building that momentum until the momentum snowballs and then brings you the volume that you want. And that's why I like to teach sales course funnels or to implement them into people's businesses, because the difference with that to all the other methods that I just mentioned is you set up a sales call funnel once, you switch it on, and it brings you calls every single day. So you don't actually have to show up and market yourself anymore. Like that works for you to bring the calls. All you have to do is show up to a sales call every single day. Or if you don't want to do it, you can bring in a sales closer that can come and close the calls for you. So it's much, much easier to grow and to have that consistency, because the consistency isn't reliant on you. It's reliant on the ads that work 24/7. Whether you're asleep, on holiday, tired, busy, not working, etc., it will still bring you the calls. And so I find even for myself, when I've experimented with different marketing methods for myself, that's been the one method that has been the quickest to get me clients and the kind of easiest, because it's basically 100% passive. But obviously that maybe isn't for everybody. So if you're wanting to experiment with different methods, that's fine. But I would just say go to where your ideal client are and really spend some time looking at your offer and thinking, how can I make this offer incredible? Like, would I buy my own offer? And if I wouldn't, what can I do to make it more irresistible? Hope that helps.
So if I understand correctly, if I just post one post on social media, this is similar to buying a lottery ticket. So the probability of something happening is really low. However, if I go into and create a funnel and make as much, use as much automatization as possible and use ads, this will be more like a fishing net. and there's a lot more chance that there's going to be fish in the net if the boat is moving through the sea.
Exactly. I mean, the way, like, you can get clients from social media. Like, I post on Instagram and I do get clients from there, but the kind of the main difference is a couple of things. When you post on Instagram or Facebook or Twitter or wherever, you can't say for every post I share, I will get a client. You can hope, absolutely, you can hope, oh, I hope that this post brings me a client, but you can't guarantee it. And also with social media, you can't post once and get a client. You have to build momentum. You have to build a brand, build a space, a community, and then people will start to buy. You're not going to get that in your first 3 posts, right? You need to build up over time. Whereas with a sales call funnel, and also with your social media audience, you're just selling to the people that follow you. So say you've got 500 followers, 1,000 followers, 2,000 followers, you're selling to them, and you're not even really selling to the full 2,000 because Instagram doesn't show your content to the full 2,000. It'll show it to like 300 people, if that. So you're constantly telling every day the same 300 people. Whereas with the sales call funnel, you can switch one on today, and by the end of today, have 5 calls in your calendar, so the speed to call is much faster. And what it allows you to do is, it's not limited to your social media audience. In fact, you don't need a social media audience at all. It's actually, you're opening up your offer to the world of people that are interested in what you have to say and what you have to sell. Because when you're saying before about giving up, the reason why I don't think you should ever give up is because there are people out there that want your offer. They just don't know you exist. And so the beauty of a sales call funnel is it puts you in front of people that want your offer, that don't know you exist, but now will know you exist without you having to do anything. And that's what makes it so much easier and so much faster to grow, because rather than you manually working to build an audience of people that want to buy from you eventually, you're putting yourself in front of people that already want your offer right now automatically. And then they're coming to you to have a call. So I just think it's super important to build a brand still. I fully believe in it. And that's why I still post on social media. I think it's so, so important. You can't replace building a brand and the trust and the authority that you get there. However, if, say, you don't want to post on social media for a week or 2 weeks or whatever, you can have this funnel that will work for you every single day to constantly bring you calls and build your brands that way, which some of the biggest names in the world, some of the biggest coaches, consultants, etc., have grown through this method. So that's why I love it so much.
Okay, thank you. I would just like to talk about another buzzword that is really popular now: artificial intelligence. What do you think? You explained the funnel, and it's just let's say work. Is artificial intelligence any good in assisting you with targeting the right people and getting more leads?
Yeah, so actually we are building out a AI Android. We're currently testing it not in the consulting niche, we're testing it in a different niche and having a lot of success with it. What we're basically getting the AI to do is to replicate a sales conversation with myself. So rather than me speaking to a lead, the AI is speaking as though it's me. I've trained it, programmed it to speak like me, and then it's generating calls and leads that way. And so far, it's working really, really well. So I do believe as well that kind of the next iteration is that, and that can help. It will never obviously replace a real conversation like this, but it can definitely help in terms of the stage before you have a sales call, to have someone warm up, nurture, and get someone ready to have a call with somebody, or sell directly for you if you're selling, for example, through your social media audience or your email list. So yeah, I'm excited by the future of it and the potential of it and how much it can impact the lead generation space as a whole.
Thank you. Is there anything else you would like our listeners to take from this interview? Any quick tips or any trade secrets that you can share?
I would say, as a consultant, what I've seen with people over the years is you become a consultant because you're extremely passionate about what you do and what you consult on, right? You built up that knowledge and experience in some capacity. And so you want to go and help other people with what it is that you know. And so you think that that's what you need to grow your business. But in actual fact, unless you've got a background in marketing and sales, you first have to master marketing and sales in order to be able to be successful as a coach or consultant in your field and have a lot of clients. I think a lot of people don't think about that or don't realize that. And they just think I have to be the best at what I do. But first, you have to be the best at marketing and sales And then that will allow you to be good as a consultant. So whether you outsource it or whether you learn it yourself, it doesn't matter. But having some kind of expertise in marketing and sales in your business as a coach or consultant is what's going to get you to the top, because that whole premise of like, build it and they will come, unless you're Tony Robbins or Sam Ovens, like, doesn't work in this day and age. And obviously they built it over time anyway. They didn't start today and become who they are tomorrow. So mastering marketing and sales is super key. And it's why I kind of specialize in teaching that to people. And I'm so passionate about it because, no business can flourish without marketing and sales. So my kind of key takeaway would be, to really have a think about, okay, where is my gap? Where is my blind spot in my business from marketing? What is it that I don't know about marketing and sales? Where am I falling down in the sales call process, in the lead generation process, in the content messaging process? And what can I do to fill that gap? Because that's what's going to allow you to bring in more clients. It isn't getting more qualifications, doing more courses in advancing in what you teach. It's about getting enough people to see what you do and getting them to understand the value in what you do. And that's how you're going to grow your coaching and consulting business.
Thank you for all these insights. And where is the best place that our listeners can read?
Thank you, Mr. Faleskini, for this outstanding podcast. And thank you for listening to the Ask Faleskini podcast until the end. Mr. Faleskini would love to hear your feedback in the comments. And don't forget, if you want to know, ask Faleskini or listen to the Ask Faleskini podcast. In order to please the almighty algorithm, please don't forget to like, share, and subscribe.